Now, at the beginning of this topic, I invited all of the auditors to move on, and I know that you all stayed just to watch. If that's the case, please send your hate mail to... No. Okay, let's move on. Here we are on the parse worksheet. I showed you how to join text together. Sometimes we have the opposite problem where we need to take the first name and last name that's in column A and break it into two columns. Very easy to do using the text to columns feature, but I need to make room for that text. And if I was absolutely sure that it was only first name and last name, all I would have to do is insert a new column B. But I've learned through experience that you can never be sure of that. So I'm going to select several columns B, C, and D, and use Insert Sheet Columns. This will give me plenty of room in case someone has 3 or 4 names in column A. I want to select the names in column A, so I'll click in A2 down to A23. We're going to go to the Data tab of the ribbon and use the Text to Columns icon. Now there's 2 different ways to use text to columns. The first way is delimited. That's where every item is separated by a specific character, like in this example, a space. The other version is fixed width. This is if you're getting data from an old COBOL system where the programmers would actually map out that a particular field starts in position 82. Delimited is the right choice here, so we'll click Next to go to Step 2. In Step 2, we have to specify what our delimiter is. By default, it always says a tab. In this case, we'll use space. One time I received a data set where the delimiter was the vertical bar character. No matter what delimiter someone sends, you can actually click the other field and type the delimiter in there. We'll click Next to go on to Step 3. Now here's where we specify our data types. The only time I ever want you to change anything here is if you have a date in either month, day, year, or year, month, day format. A lot of people are tempted to choose text because, after all, these names are text. However, when you choose text in this dialog box, there's a horrible gotcha. The range that's created will have a special text format applied, and you will never be able to enter a formula in that range again. The one time it's appropriate to use text is if there's leading spaces and you need to keep the leading spaces, you would use text. But that's it. Okay, here we can choose what our destination is. If we wanted to, we could go to B2, but I'm going to go right to A2 to overwrite my original names, and we'll click Finish. Very quickly, Excel breaks everything out by word at every space. In a perfect world, we have first name in column A and last name in column B, but things are never perfect. We need to go take a look in column C and D and see if there's any stray information there. Now, it's easy to see on this screen, but in reality, you'd have 5,000 or 50,000 names, and the solution is to go to C1, press the N key, and then the down arrow key. Excel will jump to the next row that has a value. So here we have Bobby Joe Dupree. That's probably a matter of Bobby Joe is the first name. Then we can cut Dupree from column C back to column B. Mary Ellen Jones, again, Mary Ellen in column A, Jones from C back to B. You would basically just keep going back to column C, hitting N down until Excel takes you to the very last row. Then you know that there's no other problems in column C. One other gotcha that you should know about when you use data text to columns. In this particular case, we had our delimiter as a space bar. Sometimes your delimiter might be a tab. Sometimes your delimiter might be a comma. Let's say that you take data from somewhere else outside of Excel, either Notepad or an email or a website. Copy that data in the other application and paste it to Excel. Normally, each row will be pasted into a single cell. However, for the rest of the day, actually until you close Excel, after using data text to columns, Excel will automatically parse anything from the clipboard that gets pasted into Excel. If I had a paragraph in Notepad and I copied it and pasted it into Excel, I would all of a sudden see the word shooting across the columns, which of course is not behavior that happens on any other day. This was driving me crazy a couple of times until finally I realized it only happened on the days where I'd used text to columns in the morning, and then it happened for the rest of the day. Okay, let's move on.